Good morning, and we are in section, um, well, a new week and section 89 to 92. And I thought I'd just start with this picture of the Whitney store where they used to hold the School of the Prophets, just to get this idea of how small this room is. And um, we're going to talk about how, as our meeting in there, we're going to start from this room. So I'm just going to pop out of that now and go into Doctrine and Covenants 89 to 92. And we'll look at this. In the school of the prophets, the prophet Joseph Smith taught the elders of Israel about building the Lord's kingdom on earth. They discussed spiritual truths and prayed together, fasted and prepared to preach the gospel, but there was something about the atmosphere that seemed odd to us today, and it didn't seem right to Emma either. During the meetings, men smoked and chewed tobacco, which wasn't unusual for the time, but it stained the wood floors black and left a strong odor in the air. Emma shared her concerns with Joseph, and Joseph asked the Lord. Um, His response was a revelation that went far beyond smoke and tobacco stains. It gave saints for generations to come a principle and a promise, promises of physical health, wisdom, and great treasures of knowledge. Now, I just kind of want to point out, I'm just going to go up here and go back to this. Um, Point out that uh, we usually don't use tobacco now very often, and smoking is I think, decreased quite a bit. But um, it seems very popular today for things like uh, cannabis and so forth to be more popular in in um, in use. And in fact, because certain things are legalized for people to use. And strange enough, it's almost the same argument that they were using for tobacco in the old days. Oh, just medicinal, tobacco and alcohol, medicinal use and things like that. But this staining of the floor, there's a place not too far from her home that you go past, and there's been uh, people using this marijuana or whatever. Um, and uh, not only does it smell like skunk to me, um, what's left behind is I guess it makes them salivate or something because they've all spit on the floor, and the floor is really, I don't like that area or anything. Um, but it's just the reason why I say that is because I can understand when um, we've got Emma saying, "Yeah, I I don't like having to clean all this up. This is really, really gross." And for someone that doesn't smoke either, it's easy when you don't smoke to see the difference between a smoky room and not. And again, that is something growing up or when I came over on my mission, we used to get on the buses, and the buses used to, sometimes it was just full of smoke, and it just not nice when you don't smoke. That has changed. And so, as we get into the Doctrine and Covenants 89, and we'll get into the other ones as well this week, I just wanted to go into the historical references as well. Historical background. There's the picture again. I could have gone here, I guess, but um, and just read the first section of this, which is probably pretty much the same, just worded differently. Many other revelations in the early church, like many other revelations in the early church, Doctrine and Covenants 89, also known as today as the Word of Wisdom, came in response to a problem. In Kirtland, many men of the church were called to preach in various parts of the United States. They were to cry repentance unto the people and gather the Lord's elect. To prepare those recent converts for their important labors, Joseph Smith started a training school called the School of the Prophets, which opened in Kirtland on the second floor of the Noah K. Whitney mercantile store in January 1833. Every morning after breakfast, men met in the school to hear instruction from Joseph Smith. The room was very small, and about 25 elders packed the space. The first thing they did after sitting down was light a pipe and begin to talk about the great things of the kingdom and puff away, Brigham Young recounted. The clouds of smoke were so thick men could hardly even see Joseph through the haze. Once the pipes were smoked out, they would then put in a chew on one side and perhaps on both sides, and then it was all over the floor. In this dingy setting, Joseph Smith attempted to teach men how they and their converts were to become holy, without spot, worthy of the presence of God. In our day, these seem really just um, something that we wouldn't even consider nowadays because we've had generations that have grown up with the word of wisdom and um, have a lot more science behind it as well. But like I said, even in my experiences before all the reports on secondhand smoke and all this, you'd go places and there'd just be um, clouds from people smoking, just you'd go get on a bus and there'd just be a haze in there sometimes, and um, it wasn't pleasant. I did not like it, and um, I don't miss it at all. I'm really grateful that they have laws for that now, but you can see that it takes time. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read more of this article, but I'm going to read it as we get to each of the different things: tobacco and uh, alcohol, etc. But I think we'll spend quite a bit on this chapter, and then we will go to 90, 91, 92, which are smaller chapters anyway. Well, I think 90 is quite long, but and then we'll finish it off. Um, it's about it's less than half the reading from yesterday's or last week's um, section 88, even with different sections. So uh, we'll see where this goes, and we'll get into these tomorrow. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tomorrow.